Hello, this is Mr. Smith from Team Empire, here to talk about the water cycle. We're going to take a look at the water cycle and how valuable it is for us as a natural resource. The water cycle is a very important process that we're going to look at. We're going to watch this video together in class next time. So we'll take a look at this video and figure out why the water cycle is so important and where it all comes from. So again, we're going to take a look at this. There isn't any narration, just talking about it. At this point, I would like you to pause the video and write down on your paper the following words in the correct spots as you see them. All right, now that you have paused the video and have all the words down on the water cycle, let's talk about where these go and how they work in the water cycle. So first of all, we're going to start with the stages that require solar radiation. They need heat in order for them to process. And so we have transpiration, which is the water leaving plants, and we have evaporation. Circle both of those in red. Now let's take a look at which ones require water to give off heat. So they cool down because of the water. And we're going to circle those in blue. And that is condensation. Next, we're going to take a look at the force of gravity, and those processes within the water cycle that are driven by the force of gravity. And we're going to circle those in purple. So precipitation, runoff, infiltration, which is going through the ground and getting into the groundwater flow. And all of those are driven by the force of gravity. So let's take a look at some of these definitions. Solar radiation is the source of energy that gives Earth's water cycle, that drives Earth's water cycle. Evaporation and transportation, as heat energy is added to the water, it changes state from a liquid to a gas. That's what evaporation is. Transpiration is unused water is given off as water vapor in plants. What is water vapor? Water vapor is the gaseous state of water. Condensation, as the water vapor cools from a gas to a liquid, the droplets combine together to form clouds. Precipitation, this occurs when the cloud droplets join together and become too big to overcome gravity. They fall from the sky as rain, snow, sleet, or hail. Runoff is the excess precipitation that flows over the surface of the earth. Infiltration occurs when water seeps into the earth's surface, forming groundwater. The water table is the highest level of groundwater in an area. Some areas have a higher water table than other. It all depends on the materials underneath the ground. Aquifer is a permeable rock that groundwater can pass through, sand, limestone, etc. We have a lot of limestone around here that the water gets into. So here's how the aquifer looks. You can see how it can drain down into there, seep under the water, see how high the water table is as the ground increases. A full watershed here, as we can see, we have rain, snow, precipitation up here that comes down, okay, lands on the ground, and then all of it's going to run downhill into the groundwater and the lake here. So a watershed is a geographic area where water flows to a common outlet, a stream, a lake, or a river. It includes the land, groundwater, and surface water that is there. Just like we saw in the last picture, this picture shows the same thing. As the precipitation falls from the cloud, it's going to run off into the stream and down into the river in this case. Runoff can carry too many nutrients and collect in areas such as the Mississippi River Delta. This distribution of nutrients can cause eutrophication and dead zones, where aquatic organisms run out of oxygen and die. So all these fertilizers and silt and all sorts of different things that we put on the ground, in the ground, dump out, all eventually have to go somewhere. And a lot of times that runs down the Mississippi River, especially around here. The Whitewater River drains down into the Ohio drains into the Mississippi. Mississippi runs down into the Mississippi Delta, which is at the Gulf of Mexico. And so in that area, we end up with this dead zone where nothing will survive because there's all the nutrients are gone and everything. Now, that doesn't mean that we can't take care of this and they can't move to different areas to be able to survive. But they have to move through those areas and away from those areas where that stops. They have to be either upstream a little bit or down into the ocean a little bit farther. We'll take a look at water everywhere in a little while. And once again, here's a picture of the water cycle going through everything that happens. Condensation, as everything evaporates and flows up, starts to form to make these clouds. And then we have, once the clouds get too big, the drops get too heavy, they're going to form precipitation. And then it'll run off and flow downstream back into the ocean. Cycle continues. Now, not all of it makes it to the ocean. It gets evaporated in other places and everything. But just so you know, the water cycle is a dynamic event and continues to change and select. If you have any questions, please reach out to your teacher. Have a fabulous day.